All right. Well, we still have some people to sign in, but we thought we'd get started. And for those of you that attended last week's webinar, you know a little bit about how this goes. We'll just start with a little information on how to work the technology. You can ask questions using the chat at any time, and if you can't hear or can't see or something's off in that regard, you can also send a chat, and we have my trusty assistant Judith looking after the chat log, so we will be paying attention to that the whole time. We won't necessarily answer questions until the session at the end, question and answer session. So yeah, welcome, and very excited to be here again and presenting some information about our gem elixirs. We have a distinction that I probably should clear up right away, and that's we have some of our essences that are characterized by the name research, and it's just simply to say that they were made more recently, and in some cases we don't have as much information on them, and so we're calling them research essences. So all of the ones that I'll be talking about today fall into that category, but there are, as you'll see, some pretty amazing gem elixirs. I guess I just want to thank everybody for coming. Still trying out this new technology, but I feel it's a really great way to reach people out there that are wanting more information about products and more information about how they work, and pretty excited to be able to do that. So I will just start introducing this topic, embracing uncertainty. If you live in the United States and or Brazil, and England too, I guess, there's pretty obvious uncertainty, things changing, things, political structures, social structures, economic structures, and there's a real lack of stability in these areas. And of course, throughout history, we've had these periods of instability, but it seems to a lot of people, myself included, that it's escalating. Our political process here in the United States, for instance, people are saying, I've never seen anything like this before. So when we have this instability, and uncertainty, we always know, or we want to know, that we can reach to nature. We can call to nature and make a conscious effort to connect with nature, and then we can find that stability. So yeah, the conceptual basis is, where do you go when you want to feel more stable in your body? Where do you go when you want to feel more grounded, regardless of what's going on around? And the answer, of course, is the mineral kingdom. So if you think about it, the mineral kingdom is always underneath our feet. In many countries, our houses are made from the mineral kingdom. In many countries, in most of civilization, we have products they're made from the earth, from minerals. The technology that we're using right now is dependent on what they call the fine minerals, gold, and these kinds of things. So we're embracing the connection with the mineral kingdom in a vibrational way to go along with the fact that we basically the food that we eat is mostly minerals and water. Uh, so we're opening to either beginning a relationship with the mineral kingdom vibrationally, or we want to improve that relationship and make it stronger and deeper, if you will, because of the increasing uh, chaos and drama that we find where we're living. And so far, I've just been talking about the uh, more collective kinds of things that are going on worldwide and nationwide. But of course, we always have family stuff going on and relationship stuff going on. So this is simply a body of information that I want to present to you today through these particular gem elixirs, where you can see, oh, there's different ways that I can get support from the earth, from these minerals that'll help me in a lot of different ways. Um, I want to give you a little bit of sort of general information. Um, I want to give you some general information on what gem elixirs are. Some of you um, are new to this vibrational essence field, and maybe some of you who aren't new been using the flower essences, but not the gem elixirs. So I want to sort of lay down a basis of understanding for the gems. As you saw in that beginning picture, which was taken by a friend in Brazil during a class we had there some years ago, and that was malachite in the bowl. Um, the gem elixirs are made in a very, very similar way through flower essences. It's a sun infusion process. A particular gem is placed in the bowl. The bowl is filled up with pure water, and the bowl is set in a place where it'll receive sun for the whole time. And the energy of that particular stone is then imprinted on the water, and the active ingredient, force that imprints that is uh, coming from two places. One, of course, is the sun, and the other one is the space that the person or the people are holding that are making the essence. So it's a very simple process, but it's very amazing what happens during that process, that you're picking up uh, the full healing qualities of that gem in the water. And then, of course, we take that water and we preserve it and dilute it. And so what if you were to buy a bottle of gem elixir, you've got a slightly diluted um, formula. It's not, we're not selling the mother essence, but the stock. And then you can use that stock to uh, make dosage bottles or use it internally or externally. So I have a question here. Yeah, this is a good question from Margaret. When we first started making gem essences, we debated on whether to call them gem essences or gem elixirs. There's really no difference between the two. I chose elixir. It felt better at the time. You can use those two terms interchangeably. So we have gem elixirs. I may refer to them as gem essences, but I don't do that to confuse anybody. So again, for those of you that are wondering how gem elixir is made, very similar to a flower essence, and how they're working is different. And I want to point this out for several different reasons. People who are used to using flower essences and have used them for quite a long time actually may have a greater need for gem elixirs than someone who has never taken a vibrational remedy at all. And I'll explain more about that as we go. But the main thing we're calling on the gems, we're calling on the mineral kingdom for, is to stabilize our energy field, what we call the subtle anatomy, which is the chakras and the subtle bodies, and to also, in having more stability there, to stabilize the physical body. And whatever is out on the subtle layers will be reflected in have an imbalance on the physical level. So the primary way of using gem elixirs is simply to find out where that imbalance is, and in many cases it will be on a subtle level. And then they can go to that level and correct it there, and then the symptom or whatever you're noticing then disappears from the physical. So we're very much working in the physical body by virtue of the non-physical body. You don't really have to have an understanding of chakras or subtle bodies for these things to work or to have a relationship with them. If you are interested or you do have a basis of understanding there, then that's great, because then you can get a little bit more fine-tuned in your work. But I like to stress that one of the main things, we just want to take one basic concept away from this presentation today. It's that it's a relationship of stress and tension to health. And so what we want to do is release stress. And we're releasing stress from yesterday, from last week, from our childhood, and from any other lifetime or any other way you look at it. Some people say, I don't believe in past lives, but I do believe that we're connected into our ancestors. However you look at this, there is some stress that's picked up that hasn't started in this lifetime. That's my belief anyway. So we're asking the gems to come in and release that stress and tension that's accumulated. And in doing, they're really good at this. That's what they specialize in. And they'll go to the place where the stress is held and catalyze the release of it. In many cases, it'll be very quick. It'll go very fast. You'll just notice some different alignment in your body, that you've gone from a more stressful posture to a less stressful posture. Now, this is all based on a very important concept, which is sort of the basis in my understanding of all healing and vibrations, and that's that our systems, any aspect and all aspects of our systems, are constantly seeking balance. And so when you introduce a gem elixir or flower essence or whatever, and it gives some strength and some support to reach that new place of balance, the entire system goes along with it. It's always wanting to go towards alignment and balance. So this is really good. So we're simply, with some precision, introducing these mineral vibrations into our field, and they're saying, okay, well, here's some stress, and I can help you with that. Again, we don't have to worry about what happens after the release of the stress. It's a somewhat automatic process that the physical body knows. It has this knowing, and it's saying, okay, I know what balance looks like. I just couldn't get there. Now I have this help from this particular gem or flower. I can get there more easily. Now, if you carry this out, using these things over a period of time and continuing this process, you can actually build resistance to stress into your physical body and into your energy field. So this is pretty great. So in other words, you can do things that used to stress you out, and you can do those things more often, and they don't stress you out as much or not at all. A good example is flying internationally. It used to be tremendously stressful for me. Using the gems and other essences that we had, the gems helped me deal with that stress so that I actually started to enjoy flying, which was a big part of my job. So again, if you have any questions about the material that I'm offering, go ahead and type them in, and we'll be perusing that and if one really jumps out, then I'll answer it right away. Now, why are gem elixirs so important at this time? Kind of already touched on that, but here it is in the written word. We want to have this relationship with the mineral kingdom, which is the mineral kingdom is very present. It's there waiting for us. So operators are standing by, as they say. We want to, I mean, the average person is going to be approaching this and saying, well, I've been really taking care of myself on certain levels, but on other levels, when some of these things happen with the economy, it really throws me out of alignment. And so that person or people like that may want to approach this whole idea and say, okay, well, I need to, I'm realizing that my energy field is a bit out of alignment, or I've had physical alignment issues perhaps, and I want to do something about that. And so I'll start to use the gems to, just start where I am and work, just work with, again, the main stress and tension that I have. And so you might be starting with something more present, more present time. Then as you start to, and the great thing is, once you take care of the most impactful piece of tension or stress, your body does this reorganization, and then it gets easier from that point on. So you can make these adjustments. Each adjustment gets easier and easier and easier. So you get to a point then where, okay, this really strange thing happened in my family, or this sort of shocking thing happened in society, and it resonates on some level. You can be perhaps more heart-centered around it, more compassionate around it, and not thrown off and thrown out of your alignment. So that's the whole idea. So wherever you're starting, in any case, the gems can help you to get more grounded and maintain that grounding and not lose it. And they're capable of helping any aspect of that. So there's really nothing that they can't help because it's the mineral kingdom. For some of us, they can be used to repair areas that have been damaged or traumatized, and some trauma actually creates the damage. So we talk about integrity. So how much integrity does the energy field have? That's a really good question. So it can always have more integrity. Gems can help us with that. But in the beginning, it's to repair those damaged areas. And by damage, I just mean a perforation or a leak where energy is coming out. We want to have restoring the integrity, and so our energy is not just flowing out, but it's building up and building up and building up. As we attend to the integrity, we find that we have more energy. This is really great because a lot of people are finding that, yeah, I'm dealing with things okay, but I'm really tired a lot. So using gem elixirs, doing repair work, increasing your capacity to receive energy from the earth and circulate it more efficiently throughout your body, then you're going to have more energy. And this all can be summarized to the last point here, and that's they help us integrate change at the deepest level. So things are changing constantly. What we want to do is be able to initiate and pursue and facilitate positive changes in our lives and around us, and as we get stronger in our own ability to change in a positive way, then that becomes a global phenomenon. So depending on where you're coming into this most people have a bit of integration to do before they really feel like they're able to stay present with all of the craziness that's going on in the world. So to be able to integrate on the fly, which means I don't have to just stop and meditate for 6 hours a day. I mean, that's great if you want to, but I can integrate as I'm taking care of my responsibilities, as I'm going to work, as I'm taking care of the kids. The gem elixirs can help you integrate in the background, if you will, and say, okay, well, I feel a lot more complete with these things that have happened in the past, and I can approach things in the present, and therefore integrate them more quickly as well. So I'm going to take a breath and a sip of water, and if there's any questions on what we've covered so far, go ahead and type them in. Judith has been answering and helping as I've been talking. Yeah, Helen is asking, as the mineral kingdom is under our feet, can it represent hidden qualities we wish to surface? I suppose you could make that connection. Um, I guess the focus of my words so far is to work more with the mechanics of our energy field. But as we start talking about the individual stones, you'll see they're very distinct. Um, they're going to be helping us as we become more aligned and have our grounding more present, that the positive aspects of who we are, the more uh, eternal parts of who we are can come forward and be more present. So I'm trying to paint this picture on the one hand of, yeah, on a given day, maybe a person spending most of their time just coping to, in a relatively short amount of time, okay, I'm not really spending a tremendous amount of time just coping. Uh, I'm able to sort of breathe and feel comfortable um, with everything that's going on because I have this really strong and aligned energy field, and I'm feeling pretty good. So therefore, I can start to affect uh, the outer environment with the quality and the alignment that I have on the inner level. So I can bring who I really am out, and then that has a positive effect on the rest of the planet. So I have another question. Yeah, this is a great question from Fonka. Probably not pronouncing that correctly, but the difference between having gems around, um, carrying stones around in your pocket, which I do all the time, having stones in the house, which we have a bunch. What's the difference between that and taking gem elixirs? Thank you so much for asking that question. Um, of course, a given stone has qualities, and those are going to be uh, consistent whether you're taking a gem elixir or or holding that stone or doing some sort of meditation with it or whatever. The difference is that the Alaskan gem elixirs were made in a very powerful environment in Alaska, and Jane Bell, who a colleague of mine, a dear friend who made the initial 48 gem elixirs with me and helped to research them and get them out into the world, uh, jokes that we set up a travel agency for the gems. So we would tune in and ask them, where do you want to be made? Because we wanted to pick a particular environment in Alaska that would be very supportive of the particular vibration of that stone. And so we found out, for instance, black tourmaline wanted to be made next to a glacier. And so we've done that every time we've made it. It's been next to a glacier. Some stones wanted to be made out in the field, some wanted to be made next to water, and so on. So you have the main energy of the stone surrounded by the Alaskan environment, the very intact elemental energy in the Alaskan environment. And that elemental energy enables the uh, healing qualities of the stone to be delivered to the person's energy field in a very clean and powerful way. And we found that it's easier for people to integrate gem elixirs for that reason, the Alaskan gem elixirs for that reason, because it's being delivered with this perfectly balanced air, earth, fire, and water package surrounding it. So I'm just going to look at the questions here. Some of these we're going to wait until later. Yeah, I'm going to wait for Daniela's for later. Yeah. So I'm going to then launch into talking about particular gems. And I just tuned in for the group to see which ones, sort of energetically, just to see which ones would be relevant for this subject that we're talking about, embracing uncertainty. And I also tuned in intuitively to see which ones to talk about first. And of course, blue topaz, and I say of course because as I talk more about this, you'll understand why it would come first. Blue topaz is something that I'm using quite a bit. It's coming up a lot for people that I work with. And it's really, really helpful for young children and these children that were giving certain labels like the rainbow children, the crystal children, but just the young ones that are coming in and they have this amazing sort of direct connection to source. Uh, it's the difficulty for them is trying to figure out our educational system and some of the things that they find in their environment. But I'm going to be pitching the information to more to the adults, and so if you look at yeah, with the chaos, the political, the social, the economic stuff that's going on, and a lot of us try to keep up with that mentally. We try to make sense of it, and especially if you're watching the news. Um, you might need to take blue topaz if you're watching the news because there's a lot of information that's coming out that doesn't really help to dissipate the confusion. It's more just reporting on the confusion. So blue topaz is helping to organize how we think, how our mental processes work. It's helping to increase our mental clarity. So in a sense, taking this and working with it is like going to a place in the forest where there's a waterfall and just feeling that cleansing energy and that refreshing energy come through your mind and your mental body. It's so soothing and uh, helping to carry away sort of excess mental energy, thought forms, what have you. And when that happens, then the focus and the effectiveness improve. So we want to focus on what we want to focus on with our minds and our mental capacity. We also want to uh, let go of resistance, which I think might be fair to say the older a person gets, they get a little bit of mental resistance because they've found things that work and maybe they're a little bit closed to learning new ways. One of the things that this gem does is it helps us open to new ways of thinking, new ways of solving problems. And that opening is not to wrestle it to the ground. The opening is to tune in and to attune and to move into an intuitive place and say, okay, well, I'm open to a new way of looking at this situation in my life. and then just being as quiet as possible and allowing that new way to drop in. So it is part of increasing our mental capacity and our flexibility is learning how to integrate the mental, the rational, with the intuitive. Because at a higher level, they're not separate. They're both the same. So we have learned how to separate them out and then find ourselves getting very mental about things. And this is saying, no, let's just relax a little bit, allow for new information to come in from our higher selves and from the universal mind, if you will. But we're wanting to, I'm wanting to emphasize that this essence for a lot of people is just to clear the confusion, have some, create some mental space, and be able to look at the current situations that we find ourselves in and the situation in the world without being overwhelmed by it or intimidated by it, but just saying, oh, I feel pretty clear. I will just work on my own personal focus here. And yeah, so Helen asked the question, can this essence help with general stress due to a noisy mind? And that's exactly what I'm saying. Um, maybe first thing in the morning, the mind's quiet because we've been sleeping, we've sort of gone offline for a while. And then we immediately, many of us will, maybe after coffee and breakfast, look at the to-do list. Oh, okay, so the mind then gets engaged and gets busy. The point of blue topaz is that you don't really need to do that. You can learn a different mental stance, a different posture to take that says, okay, well, I can use my mind when I want to and when I need to figure something out or whatever. But I'm going to stay throughout the day in a more open way of allowing support to come in, new information to come in, and taking this out to a nice conclusion. I'm not stressing myself out as much because at the end of the day, it's all stuff we do to ourselves. So just to add a little bit, if you have children or you're working with children that are trying to do the opposite, they're coming from this place of being connected to source, and they're needing to figure out how am I going to, do this homework? How am I going to do well in school that has a educational system that, in my personal opinion, is old and outmoded? Blue topaz also works in that way. It helps them focus on what they need to focus on to do, um, to do the work that they need to do. They've got to get through the system. The education system in the world is changing slowly, but these young beings are coming in, and they're sort of impatient. We have some, not with obsessive compulsive disorder, but with learning disabilities, um, deficit disorder, adult deficit disorder, deficit of attention deficit disorder is what I'm trying to say here. Maybe I need to take some of this. And we have a formula called easy learning, which I'm using in all my workshops now. And so, yes, I mean, we can be in contact with people if they want to know that research, but we're using it as a part of the group of essences that we would suggest for any learning disabilities or learning difficulties that people of any age might have. So moving along, and there is some continuity here with Star Ruby. It's really helping right along with the blue topaz. Now, there is some color symbology. We're talking about chakras, which are very symbolic in terms of their color and their vibration. the blue topaz literally vibrating in this part of the body, in the neck and shoulders and head, very much fifth and chakra, whereas star ruby is very much first chakra. It's at the base of the energy field, the base of the spine. And so this is in essence for people who have a tendency to not only get really busy in their minds, but sort of go out of the body. And uh, people who have a very strong spiritual connection have a tendency to go out and be focused on things in the spiritual world, higher frequency things that are going on. Everything has a higher frequency, and this is a great thing to be able to do. But we need to bring this focus down into the physical body. And I used to think that if I brought this higher focus, keeping track of things on a more spiritual level, if I brought that down into the body, that I would lose that focus. In other words, I couldn't do both. Well, Star Ruby is telling us that yes, you can. You can maintain that kind of focus, uh, more of a subtle awareness focus, and you can have a physical present time focus. And it's really necessary. Uh, I can't stress how much this is going to be helping, uh, especially people who, again, have this capacity to go out. So we're wanting to bring our focus into the present moment, awareness in the present moment. We can bring whatever we want from wherever in the spiritual plane. We can bring that in and have it present with us. So we have, literally, we have everything that we ever want and need right here in the physical body. Now, one of the reasons I included this one in the list is because of distraction. Um, there are multi-billion-dollar businesses in the world that manufacture things to distract us, such as the movie industry. And I I will spend my money and watch a good movie just along with the rest of the people. But what we want to do, and when I first started learning about the chakras and doing uh, my initial meditations and learning how to work with other people's energy fields, our teacher said, you first have to learn how to be present, and then you can go out. So if you know how to be present, you can get present with your thoughts and your focus. Then you can say, okay, I'm now going to do something that might be distracting me from the present moment, that you never lose that connection. I hope that's clear. But this is good for people who are easily distracted. They haven't built up that sort of filter or that boundary, and they find themselves very easily pulled off into this direction or that direction, depending on what's going on around them. And some people will actually set up something every day to distract themselves. And we're wanting again to attain a level of focus and awareness in the physical body. After that, you can entertain and say, well, I want to focus on this, or I want to focus on that. Now, the last piece on this one uh, may look somewhat in reverse of the rest of them, but it's some people can get too focused. And this is, we use the word obsession or obsessive focus. So there was a question earlier about OCD. Interestingly enough, Star Ruby would help with that, because you need to be able to disengage if you're getting too focused and too caught up in minutia, and just come back out into the general focus. We talk about big picture or general focus. Now, if you look at this picture of this ruby, you'll see the very geometric uh, patterns. And I always ask when I'm doing a workshop, are people drawn into um, the geometry of this, drawn into the center, or do they see the center coming out at them? It's kind of trick you can do looking at this picture. But suffice it to say that it works both ways. So you can use it to get in, and most of us may be wanting it for that, to get that focus in, but you can also use it to adjust that focus out so that it's just exactly how you need it to be. So yeah, I work with Star Ruby quite a bit. It's also good to shift focus from one thing to another. So yeah, I was very focused on this bit of work, and I'm having trouble letting that go and getting over to this piece or to something completely different. It can help with that as well. So one of my favorites, I say that a lot, but this really is one of my favorites. Rainbow hematite from Brazil. Now, I'm just going to slow down a minute so that you can look at this picture. This is a picture taken in natural light of a piece of rainbow hematite that was given to me by my dear friend Cynthia in Brazil. And you can see why they call it rainbow hematite. Now, for those of you that know the gems, you will recognize hematite, which is a gray stone and very heavy. Hematites are very heavy because it's iron ore. And we use the regular hematite for emotional protection to help us sort of deflect stray emotional energy that's flying around, or to help us have a stronger emotional boundary, generally speaking. And rainbow hematite is doing this primarily at the sixth chakra. Because it is a rainbow colored stone, it's working with all different aspects of the energy field, all these different colors representing different parts of the energy field. But it's primarily helping with the third eye. And it's helping in a couple of different ways. Now, I'm always interested in a class. I'll have these pictures shown uh, on the big screen, and there'll be an impact of people just looking at this. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, I feel that I have some protection around everything that was coming at me on these higher levels, on these mental levels," which is exactly what it's doing. It's uh, creating this filter, if you will. It's not blocking us seeing, but it's helping us discern what am I seeing, and how much of that do I want to let in, and how much of that do I want to dismiss. So this again would be really good if you're watching the news. One of the ways that this is working is to ground our vision. Excuse me. So the sixth chakra in a lot of people is really getting opened up now. There's a lot of expansiveness in our society, in culture, in various ways. There's not a lot of education on how do you open your sixth chakra in a balanced and calibrated way. So we're looking to the gem kingdom, the mineral kingdom, to help us with this. People who have six chakras that are too open have a tendency to get headaches, to have spinal stuff going on, cranial imbalances, whatever, because there's just so much energy coming in and they can't deal with all of it. So the rainbow hematite is helping to open and develop the sixth chakra and our ability to see directly what is there, but it's doing it in doing it in a calibrated way, in a practical way, and in a grounded way. This is really important for people who are very open to the higher frequencies. Now, again, for this information that's coming in at the sixth chakra level, for it to be useful, it needs to be grounded. For it to be something that we can do something with, we need to be able to uh, interpret it, if you will, because the raw information, the raw direct knowing and direct seeing, it needs to be stepped down, if you will, so that you can say, well, okay, I really want to open my sixth chakra. I really want to strengthen my ability to see. Maybe in working with the essences and working with those of you that are professionals and working with your clients, you want to, develop this ability. But you want to do it in a way that feels good, that doesn't create problems for you physically, and that you get the sense that, yeah, I'm kind of not necessarily in control of this, but it's something that I feel good about. I feel that I'm able to work with this in a comfortable way. Now, because it's a hematite, the other thing I want to say about this is that it's good for people who judge what they're seeing right away. So it's like I'm seeing this, I'm in the grocery store and I'm seeing this interaction between a mother and her children, or I'm seeing something on the news, and just having this really direct judgment or reaction. And what we want to do is have a buffer and say, okay, well, that's interesting what I'm seeing out there, the information that I'm drawing into my life. But I can kind of sit and just think about it or feel about it. I don't have to have this initial or immediate response. And of course, this is going to be really helpful for practitioners who have their clients coming in and sharing things. And really important as a practitioner to be completely non-judgmental and just create this space of listening. So yes, the Helen is asking, so one can use the star ruby and the rainbow hematite together to be able to stay grounded, and not only stay grounded when too much information is coming in, but not have too much information coming in. That's what we're moving towards with this gem, is to say, I'm able to, in a very precise way, say how much comes in and how much doesn't come. Of course, this is a process that's ongoing and something that all of us are working with. So I think I'm doing okay time-wise. Now we're moving down a little bit in terms of the color symbology and the chakras in the physical body. Green tourmaline smoky quartz is a wonderful essence. It was first made in a class of Brazilians that came to Alaska, came to Homer and made that there. And so whenever you have a stone that has two different minerals in it, and by the way, if you're looking at our product list and you see green tourmaline smoky quartz, rose quartz, rose smoky quartz, it's always just one stone. We never have two stones in the bowl. So these are mineral specimens that these two different minerals have grown together and related to each other in a very special way. So here you have the green tourmaline, which is very much a heart stone, working with the heart chakra. And then you have the smoky quartz, which is very much working with the lower chakras, foremost, the first chakra. And then you can say, well, okay, I have the green and the smoky, so everything in between is going to also get attention using this stone. Now, what we're wanting to do, as I say in this first bullet point, is facilitate a stronger and more grounded connection between our hearts and the earth. Now, this is probably the single most important thing that we could be doing right now. To not get caught up and drawn out of our bodies by everything that's going on, but to focus on, okay, how's my, how's my grounding connection? How's my heart connection and my grounding connection between myself and the earth right now. And the support that we're wanting, the stability that we want, is coming from the earth. We're wanting that to come up into our bodies, up through our feet, into our legs, and so on, rising up in the body. And you can visualize this working with this stone or seeing this picture. We're wanting that to rise up in the body and up into the heart. So in this elixir, the smoky quartz is helping us identify any tension or blockages that we might have that's keeping this from happening. So we're really just saying, okay, the smoky quartz is helping to recalibrate, if you will, or to dissipate some old tension that's sitting there. And it's a two-way conversation, so that could be blocking communication from the heart down to the earth, or it could be helping us let go of something that's been blocking that energy coming up from the earth into the heart. And we want to work on both levels and whatever level is the most relevant for each person. Now, as you work with all of these stones, but particularly this one, how do you know that it's working? How do you know that you're making some progress? And the answer is you get more relaxed in your body. You're able to settle into your body. Your body becomes a better receptacle for all of your consciousness, for all of your thoughts, ideals, and so on. So you're simply saying, okay, notice from this day to the next day that I'm able to relax more easily and I can go to a deeper place of relaxation. So it's really the earth saying, hey, we've got you, we're holding a space for you. And of course, the earth herself has a very strong heart force, a very strong force of love. And so we're not only just wanting the grounding, but we're getting this sense of, I'm being loved by the earth. Very, very important. Now, one of the positive side effects of this relaxation and this reconnection or connection with the earth is that you'll find that we have more creativity, we have more creative energy. The only way you sustain creativity is that you have earth energy coming up to help you do that. So we want to be able to have the energy to create, but also be creating from the heart. And so this is a really good stone for that. Questions coming up from Helen again. Can this help with muscular issues? Generally speaking, yes. The short answer is yes. But generally speaking, any gem elixir that you're using, because it's releasing stress somewhere in the energy field, is going to help with muscle stress or muscular tension. Again, I'm painting the picture that the muscular tension is the result of conflict that's somewhere else. As you resolve that conflict, then the muscular tension dissipates. It's not to say that you wouldn't be helped by getting a massage and having a good body work to go in and help that process, because some of this tension that we're talking about, everybody has it. Sometimes it's really been there for a while and it's really affected the alignment of the physical body. So, but again, if you can look at the color symbology and go, okay, heart, base of the spine, if I got any tension in between those two places, this essence could help you get in touch with that. Thank you for all the great questions. Another stone with two different things going on. Tourmalinated quartz, very, very powerful stone, very sort of interesting picture. And so what you have here is you have black tourmaline, little needles of tourmaline within the quartz. It's a pretty big piece of quartz and thousands of little tiny needles. And I'm seeing that the program didn't put in hyphens, so it might be interesting trying to figure out what we're saying here. um, so what you got with the tourmalated quartz is, uh, in the beginning, quartz, clear quartz, when you have the clear stones, it's working on all levels of the energy field. So it's akin to white light. So working top to bottom, side to side. And then you have your black tourmaline, which is black. So it's working at the very basis, the very bottom of the color wheel and the energy field. Now, having those two together in one stone and in one elixir is very helpful because there's really nothing that this can't help you get in touch with. And uh, it's essentially soaking or pulling this energy out of the system. So we recommend black tourmaline by itself or the tourmalated quartz whenever there is energy that doesn't belong there, energy in the physical body or in the house or wherever that doesn't belong there. It's outlived its usefulness, and we want to move it along. So we've talked about with some of these uh, gems, what do you do with the energy once it's already there, and how can you keep it from getting there in the first place? So tourmalated quartz is the best, one of the best, one or two or three of the best ones in our system. I've already taken on this energy. It's already become a part of my energy field. What can I do to let it go and to clear it out? Um, So tourmalated quartz, again, is a master of doing that. This elixir was also made next to a glacier. And the relevance of that is that glaciers are uh, ion generators. They're generating tremendous amounts of negatively charged ions, which are associated with health and well-being. So you have an elixir that can come into your system, energize it, move out what doesn't belong there, and stuff that you're just finished with. Now, if a person has a lot of this kind of energy, they will often have a sort of standard uh, place that they inhabit in a day by day basis of feeling frustrated. And they can feel frustration because a lot of the action that they take doesn't seem to bring the results that they want. Um, we found that by taking and working with the tourmalated quartz and just clearing out all this old stuff, and this again could be from a long time ago, that our action, whenever we take action, whenever we try to get something done, we become more effective. It becomes more efficient. So it's simply, instead of working so hard to gain some uh, goal that we're trying to reach, or just on a day-to-day basis, working hard to get things done, um, to pull out some of that frustration. And talking about this in a bigger way, many of us can have this conflict that we feel between a very idealistic part of us, which is great to have. It's great to have idealism. Um, and the part of us that's like, okay, well, yeah, I have these dreams. Like, this is what I really want to do, but I'm feeling frustrated and I'm not seeing these things come to fruition. So there, in other words, there's a conflict between the dreams that I have for my future and me looking at the present moment and saying, hey, it's not showing up yet. Um, and then we can have some subconscious beliefs that we may have inherited that saying, well, yeah, that's never going to happen. So just pay attention and keep grinding away. So tourmalated quartz, we're not just talking about a little energy here, a little energy there. It can move out these belief systems. It can move out anything that no longer serves you and is no longer helping you reach the kind of present, and future that we want to have. So a very powerful way to shift out of frustration into fulfillment. So there is a question, and it's a perfect question for this point in the presentation, and that's doctrine of signatures. Now, I've been talking about the doctrine of signatures, which is simply to say that if you look at a gem or a flower, you can get certain indications about its healing qualities. And you look at the physical aspects, which in the case of gems, we're looking at the colors, and we're looking at the shapes, and we're looking at like the tourmalinated quartz. We're seeing this interaction of the two. We're also looking intuitively and just seeing things, maybe not so much from a visual place. But yes, very much doctrine of signatures. And again, I'm stressing the color symbology, like with rainbow hematite, green tourmaline, smoky quartz, and this one. But a lot of this is just to look at it and say, well, you know, that looks like that would really work with clearing out my survival stuff that I have around work and money. Yeah, you get that from that black tourmaline, because that's one of the things that can help you with first chakra survival. Again, you need to know a little bit, or may want to know a little bit about what the chakras stand for. Maybe we'll do a webinar on that at some point. But yeah, doctrine of signatures is really important, and it's fun. You can go out and look at your gem collection if you have any, or go out into nature and say, oh, that's interesting. There's a color symbology with that plant, with that flower. So thank you for that question. And I'm going to move it along. Got a couple more here that I want to talk about. Another great color symbology, Labradorite. Now, this is a really easy one to talk about because it is simply about nourishment, and nourishment coming in to the physical body, coming into the energy field. Whenever I see this or work with this stone, I just feel fed, like I'm just getting such a great, you know, it's like plugging into an outlet that's perfectly configured to give you the kind of energy that you need at the moment. Labradorite's not only helping us get energy, but it's helping us assimilate it. So you might be living in a place where there's lots of really natural energy sources around, and you might not be able to get them and assimilate them into your body, therefore you're still tired. So it's doing both. It's saying I can find the energy, I can attract the energy, I can gather it, and I'm actually assimilating it through my energy field into my physical body. Now, this isn't a gem that's saying, oh, you need to fix something necessarily. It's just, I need more energy. Now, as there's always a consciousness component to every essence, and the question that this one would ask is, okay, well, I've been burning myself out. I know I've been working 16-hour days for years and years and years. Then I use the term burning the candle at both ends. So each person is going to have what we call an energy deficit. Now, if you use or go to someone who does acupuncture, that's a really good way to chart that. You know, how are my kidneys doing? How is my adrenal cortex? So there's ways to find out, and also other ways to build that back up. But yes, this is for, I don't have as much energy as I'd like to have, and I want to improve my outlook on life. So the third point there is I find myself waking up tired and I have sort of a gloomy outlook on life. How can I help that? So this essence would be helping that. We all want to wake up having energy. We've just been sleeping for some hours. We want to wake up feeling energized, have some energy to meet the day, have energy that will sustain us throughout the day. And therefore, our outlook on life becomes more positive, And as we are able to look at things in a more positive way, then we can get more energy. So it's a win-win-win. Yeah, so that's a great one. So red quartz, very much a first and second chakra stone, and kind of getting more emotional, talking more on an emotional level with this one. It's really good for people who are having difficulty maintaining their personal space and their energetic space at the second chakra level. So what that feels like in the body is a lot of stomach stuff, a lot of intestinal issues, a lot of digestive issues, and what we call sympathy, being overly sympathetic. And we do need to be sympathetic for our children, our loved ones, but we don't want to be going into sympathy for situations out in the world. We want to be able to shift into empathy. Because empathy, we can have compassion and empathize with people that are having problems and difficulties, and there are thousands of them in the world that are in that place. But being empathetic, we don't lose energy. Being sympathetic, we lose energy. So red quartz is to simply give us some protection so that we don't feel victimized by circumstances around us. We don't feel taken out and vulnerable and victimized by what's going on around us. Now, you could very clearly say, very accurately say, oh, this could also help with personal relationships. Yes, we're not just talking about collective things that are going on in the world, but very much, all the people that we're in relationship with. So we want to be working with the red quartz to restore emotional integrity, bring stability and a sense of containment to that part of the body, so that we can feel safe and supported in that place, and be able to work with our emotions and to be able to work with emotional interaction with other people in a more comfortable way, in a sense of feeling empowered. So this will be good for anybody who is feeling vulnerability at that gut level. The word we use in English is step. Yeah, it's sort of hitting you at the core, and of course we don't want to have to suffer that. So two more. Yeah, there's a question about, could red quartz help with codependent relationships? Absolutely. We're wanting to reach a place in terms of our integrity, again, our emotional integrity, where we are able to work or live within relationships, not depending on anybody else, but we're dependent upon ourselves and our connection to the earth and to the rest of, to the rest of the universe. We have so much support and so much help that can come in, and so that we can move from this place of, oh, I'm dependent upon this person or that person for something, to I'm independent, and therefore I'm much more empowered in the relationship. And if I'm more empowered in the relationship, then I'm having more fun. Okay, so we've now arrived at the first chakra. Take a breath, look out the window. This is a wonderful stone that I found in Brazil. A lot of the stones that we use are from Brazil. At least I found them there. And this again is a combination of black tourmaline and quartz. But it's different than the tourmalinated quartz. What we have, this stone is about the size. And it's got 5 double terminated quartz pieces in it, quartz crystals that are all clustered together. And I believe it has 5 or 6 large black tourmaline needles. So you have very well developed quartz crystals, double terminated, so very high frequency, very powerful. And then these very uh, highly developed and very mature needles. This, what we call it master quartz, it's basically a master stone. And what that means is there's really nothing that any human being or animal could come up with that this stone couldn't help with. So we talk about it working at the deepest level of the physical body to, you can call that cellular level or molecular level, to improve the grounding, the relationship between the first chakra and the earth, to improve circulation of all energies throughout the entire body, and to improve the strength that you have at the core level. I mean, some people that go to the gym and are doing core strength workouts, so this is a gem elixir that can help you with your core. But what this comes up for a lot of people is an imbalance between the upper part of the body and the lower part of the body. And in an extreme situation, it's almost like there's two people there. So you have the upper part, which may be really open, and, again, communicating with the cosmos and really working a lot with the subtle energies in the spiritual world. And then you have the lower part of the body that's not working that well. So there's difficulties with digestion, there's difficulties with circulation, circulatory problems, cold extremities, that kind of thing. Or saying it a different way, there are aspects of the spiritual piece that's trying to come in that can't get down into the lower parts of the body. So the person can have a really amazing spiritual understanding how things work, but they're not able to get that down into the physical, day-to-day, practical reality. So they may be really idealistic and wondering, oh, when are things going to change on the planet? And I really am having a hard time being here. To, oh, okay, I'm now making a really nice connection with the planet. I'm not having such a hard time being here. And I'm really starting to feel being energized and being stronger, and so on and so forth. So as with the tourmalinated quartz, this is also helping to exchange any toxic energy with the earth. So it's an exchange program, a recycling program, if you will. Anything you don't need, you let it go into the earth, and the earth gives you back restorative energy. I would define toxic as energy that simply has outlived its usefulness. So there's no evil energy. It's just that this energy's hanging around, doesn't have a job anymore. It's not useful. Let's let it go into the planet. Again, being such a masterful stone, you can, in the beginning, just use it to increase the grounding, make that strong earth connection, which we all need. But then you can start using this to identify and let go of any old patterns, habitual ways of living, old survival issues, what we call the really deep bottom of the barrel kind of stuff. But to do it in an easy and organized and quick way. So yeah, it's not going to take years. This is a big pattern. It's an ancestral pattern. Maybe it's been in the family for generations, but using this really powerful stone and the strength of the earth and my own personal empowerment, we can get through some of these things very quickly. So again, whatever's going on at the basis of your energy field is affecting the entire energy field. And so this is a really good one. Whenever you find yourself struggling with anything, you can use this one. And the last one is blue-green tourmaline. So I'm going to take a breath or two and just let you look at that picture for a second. Two. And I'm going to have to fix the text editor on this. So color symbology, very much a heart stone and a fifth chakra stone. It's going from green to blue. It's going from the heart into this area. So it's working very much with the development of the heart chakra and the development of the fifth chakra, and those two are very intertwined. It's really important that as we open our voice, giving voice to who we really are, those of us that are teachers, therapists, whatever, we're wanting to open that up, coming from the heart, coming into the throat, and being able to communicate in that way. This is a really good essence for that. Whenever you're working with chakra, and this is again working at a very high level with the heart chakra, we're going to eventually, if not in the beginning, we're eventually going to come into contact with some fear. And the more sort of deeper work that people are doing with their hearts is to find any kind of fear lurking anywhere in the heart and to be able to address that with love. And so this is a very important work. Now, my own personal opinion in terms of what's going on in the world is, to quote the Beatles, love is all you need. So anything's going on, any kind of crisis that's happening personally or worldwide is going to be helped with more love. We start that process by being able to increase love for ourselves in our hearts and love for the people around us. And then it goes out in ways out into the world. So this is a really important gem for being able to, from one day to the next or 1 week to the next, open the heart and do it in a way that is graceful and inclusive, but protected. So I'm opening my heart. I feel more, I'm actually more protected because I have an open heart, because there's coming through, and love is the best protection in the world, if you will. I'm able to step more into who I really am and do the work that I came here to do because I'm able to open my heart in a very strong and clear way. Now, we're talking about world service, being of service to the planet, reversing this feeling that we started out with of, oh, there's just so much craziness in the world, but now I'm able to be working in the absence of fear. I'm able to work through my heart and together, various people through our hearts, and setting up this really strong energy of peace on the planet. So this is going to help those of us that are already working in this way, trying to promote peace. And again, it starts at the personal level, and then we can do it out into the world. So this is a very personal essence to work with yourself, see what's going on with your heart, talk more with your heart. Hey, how are you doing today? Again, very softly, very gently going in and addressing any fear that you might find. And then moving again into this place of peace. So to sort of summarize all of these together, it's just to bring some really precise help and support to various levels of the energy field, various parts of the physical body, to help you get stronger, get more grounded, get a sense of being nourished more and fed more from the planet, and to really you know, do more self-care, do a higher level of self-care for yourself. You're worth it. You all deserve it. So um, I think at this point we'll just open it up for questions, and uh, we'll go uh, not as long as you want to go maybe, but we'll go for a while since I kind of went 10 minutes over the presentation. So I hope you enjoyed um, those pictures and what I had to say about the stones. So, hi Kim. Um, Kimberly asked, which was this for? Blue-green tourmaline. Is blue-green tourmaline effective for those who don't feel they have the right to be taking up space and having needs? Um, I would say all of them would help with that. Um, and I'll talk about two different ones. This one, yes, but I'm going to go back to the black tourmaline master quartz. That's going to be maybe the first one to say, okay, I really need to get this connection going with the planet. Uh, work, bring out survival stuff. Um, so we talk about the rights that all beings have, and for all humans, we have the right to be here, and to let go of the belief system that taking up space will take anything away from anybody else, which is a fallacy. So we can be as big as we want to be, take up as much space as we want, uh, attend to our needs, not being codependent and expecting others to help us with those things necessarily, but to go to the planet and say, I need this. The planet says, fine. Moving that up to the heart, yes, blue-green tourmaline would also help with that, because you're wanting to also establish that in your heart uh, primarily. Um, so you have that sense, yeah, there's room in my heart. I can take up, my heart can be as big as it needs to be. So I hope that helps with that question, Tim. Um, I'm going to change the orientation so we have more room to look at the chat. Yeah. So the one that, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to answer Val's question. When using the elixirs for yourself, how do you suggest taking them? Is it better to make a formula with a few essences or take them individually? Um, all of the above. I mean, you can, uh, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of possibility or flexibility, but where it all starts is with your intention. So you want to have a very clear intention with a single focus. What I want to do is uh, take care of the priority uh, piece of stress or situation that's going on in my life. And then you can have 2 or 3 or 4 gems come up for that. What we don't want to do is uh, have a list of 10 things we want to do and then try to get 2 or 3 gems for each one. So uh, narrow down the focus to, okay, what's most important, and then I can take 1 gem for that, or I can take a couple for that. Mary, yes, we have worked a lot with animals with these elixirs. Animals have chakras too. They pick up a lot of things from humans, and in service of us, and also in service of their own movement, and their own movement through life. So anything that you could say about the gem elixirs for humans could also be said for the animals, and yes, we've used them quite often. And you can actually see them working quicker with animals than with humans. Um, another good general question from Lynn. Uh, elixirs work really well together. Again, you don't want to get too much going on. In elixirs, I haven't really spoken to this yet, but they work really well with flower essences and any other kind of essence. So the first thing I'll say in answer to this question, the second thing, is that if you look at nature, you have rocks, stones, whatever you want to call them. You have the plants, you have the trees, you have animals. They're all there in harmony, working together. So we're just sort of, you can see in the shells behind me, we're just sort of taking that and moving it into a way that's uh, useful in a therapeutic sense. So the gems will work with each other. Uh, they'll work with all the other different kinds of remedies and things that you might be taking. They will also help you assimilate minerals better in your diet. So Franca asks, in the beginning, Steve said that people taking flower essences might have more need for the gems. Thank you for bringing me back to that. Simply said, gem elixirs are doing this. They're contracting. They're helping you bring your energy back in like this, and flower essences are doing the opposite. They're moving it out. So flower essences are expansive. They're expanding our consciousness. They're expanding um, our view, again, opening to different ways and different ways of living and being. Gem elixirs help us work with that expansion by doing this. So it's like taking a breath in with the flowers, exhaling with the gems. Now, if a person was working with the flowers for a long time, they become very open. Uh, their awareness becomes very open, and they have a very high level of perspective of consciousness in the more subtle realms. But they may still have a lot of physical things going on, physical body issues. And so using the gems would help to bring and integrate all that awareness and understanding they have on the higher levels and bring it into the body where it's actually working to help the body in a very practical way. Um, so again, people who are not doing things to expand themselves out wouldn't need the gems in that way to bring themselves back. Um, I hope that makes sense. So if you've been doing something for a long time, meditating, whatever, and you're finding that the physical body needs more help, work on the grounding, work on the integration piece. Um, Second part of that question was mixing essences from different parts of the world. Of course, um, there's no bias in nature. I usually answer this question and it comes up a lot. There's no bias in nature, so you can, if you have some of the Alaskan, some of the Australian bush essences, some from where you live, Bach remedies, whatever. These are essences that have been made in different continents of the planet. They all have something special to add. So yes, you can mix different systems, different kinds of essences, but again, have a clear focus and prioritize what you're wanting results. Um, So moving along, just looking at the questions. Thank you so much for all these questions. Um, Margaret asks, in my experience with animals, it's essential to get a very good knowledge of behavior so that you are getting at the correct issue, especially since there's a lot of interpretation from the descriptions that you need to do. Yeah, and both Judith and I are working with animals, and um, how I do this, and maybe this will just answer some of these other questions as well. I have a very intuitive approach. So I'm connecting with the intelligence of the animal and the animal saying, well, this is what I need. Then I'm getting the essences. So I have that information from the animals and the essences, which gives you another piece of the story. And then I take those two streams of information and I connect them in with the behavioral stuff. Some people would start with the behavior and go the other direction. Might work in either way. Excuse me. But it's essentially just linking it all up. And what I do with this intuitive approach and other people is say, okay, what the higher self of the animal is saying is this, and now I can understand why they're behaving that way because they told me these things, or I can see these essences coming up or for this, that, and the other thing. And now I can understand why behavior is there because they were needing these essences. So um, it's an ongoing process and it's something we have to continually look at those pieces. Um, looking again to see. Yeah, I would just say for those of you that are not been using the gems so much and haven't had a lot of experience with them, you're going to be pleasantly surprised in how they help you with the clients that you're working with. One of the reasons that people and animals in some cases will not respond to flower essences is because to do so. So if you put gems in there, it's basically saying, okay, now you have more strength, you have more stability on the planet, you have more grounding. Therefore, you're going to be able to see the progress more easily and more quickly with the flower essences. Um, I am going to make a couple of announcements at the end. Some of you need to go because I'm already over the stated time. This seminar will be, a recording of this seminar will be posted on our website. So if you go to the same page on the website, the webinar schedule, you'll see the link there. And we're trying to set it up so that you can just watch it on the website and not get caught up in YouTube or whatever. And I will, on a person-by-person basis, make the PDF, the presentation PDF, available to, and I can just email that to you directly. So if you want that, either say you want that in the chat window or send us an email and I'll send that to you. Another question, would tourmalinated quartz be good for clarifying intention before trying to manifest something? Yes. There are other essences that you might look at for clarifying intention, but I think when you're talking about gems in this question, you want to include your body in that process. So I have my heart has an intention, my mind has an intention. What does my body want or need? In that case, it would be very helpful. Hi, Peggy. Good to see you here. You're welcome. I am not going to be in Canada this year. There wasn't enough people signed up for that class, but I am thinking of offering a small paid webinar for people in the Toronto area. So you might check in on that possibility later, Lynn. A couple more questions. And also, in addition to, if you want the PDF, if you have ideas for future webinars, please share those as well. I'm just looking. And I do need to mention that before I forget, all of the gem elixirs that I talked about today, as well as all the rest of our research gem elixirs, are on sale through our store for the month of April, and they're 25% off. So I wanted to make sure that people knew that. Um, Janet Hicks, hi Janet, asks how many people do I need to come to the training? Depends on where in the world it is, but 20 is a really good number. If it's someplace in the United States, it could probably be 15. Um, so yeah, get people together and send me an email what you want me to talk about, and I'll show up. So it looks like most of the questions are passed. If anybody has a burning question that hasn't been answered, please type it in. I would love to make a card deck on the gems, but it's a little bit in the future because I need to do a little bit more photography and come up with a new company to print the cards, and to be perfectly honest, come up with the money to print the cards. But I would love to do that. I'm very happy with the flower cards. They've been very helpful for a lot of people. Um, Lynn, yes, I would consider Vermont as a location. um, And we have the chat log, by the way, and I will look at this later on and get back to some of these questions that are not specifically on the presentation, but just general questions I will get back to personally. Um, Jane Gilby, hi Jane. Thinking of doing a class in Cumbria in September, so stay tuned. We'll be announcing something soon on that. I do want to answer this one question that just came in. What is a good elixir for a being that is struggling to stay on the earth plane due to grief? Um, and this is a very pertinent question. I think many people are having a struggle. Part of the struggle that they're having on an ongoing basis is, do I really want to be here? And there are, good things that are worth sticking around for, obviously. But I would refer you to the blue-green tourmaline. I think a lot of the grief is in the heart, and that would be a really good place to start. The other one, which I didn't talk about today, would be rose quartz. Uh, those two, so you have the pink stone and the green stone, those two are going to help, and of course there's more. So I would like to see anything I need to say in closing. I would like to thank everybody for coming. It was a pleasure to be with you and to be sending this information out. There will be more webinars on the schedule. If you check within a few days, we should be adding a couple in May. And so, yeah, keep looking there. We'll also post them on Facebook, so you'll know our Facebook page. And I do want to say a few words about our practitioner training in Alaska, in Homer. There's still room at the training. It's in the last week of June, first part of July. We have a wonderful group that's already forming for that workshop of 7 days in the Homer area. I can't say enough about that experience and how wonderful it is and has been in the past years. So if anybody's interested in that training, please get a hold of me or call the office here. And yeah, so I think that's it for now. And again, I thank everyone. This time I'm going to turn the camera and the sound off, but leave the chat on so you can still type in questions. I didn't mean to shut people off last time, but I was learning the system. So yeah, thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, still learning.